Hey, what is up? Defect Mage here, bringing another gameplay commentary. Yep, TDM on Hotel. I'm back on Gears 3. I just decided I need to break away from Judgment. It might be a permanent one, but I'm not gonna rip on the game. In this commentary, I'm gonna talk about how and why I feel some of the changes has hurt Judgment amongst hardcore Gears players and even amongst new players. I think amongst new players it's hurt it even more, but I'll get into that later in this commentary. But I'm going to talk about what's hurt amongst hardcore players. I feel like, if you notice, the population of Judgment is going down. It's been going down since, I guess, a few days after launch. And Gears 3, it took a slight hit because there's still some people playing Judgment, but its population's much larger still than Judgment. It's the older game, and it's still got a much higher population. And what I think may have hurt it as in Judgment, is I feel like the basic framework of what made a Gears game was changed and altered. And I don't know if the developers and the guys at Epic decided, hey, let's try something different. Let's see if we can bring in different people, grow our population, or grow our fan base. And the way I guess they considered doing that was to change the framework that is a Gears game, or change the Gears experience. And what I mean by the Gears experience is the Gears experience has always been rifles are support, and in Gears 3, that is slightly different because of stopping power and the damage output of rifles in general. But it's always been the same. Rifles have been support for the most part, and shotguns have usually been the main weapon of choice. Case in point, people will swap out their rifles for a power weapon over their shotgun. It's just how it's been. And that framework has been altered because you've noticed when you play Judgment, shotgun ain't exactly as powerful as it is in Gears 3. The Gnasher isn't exactly king anymore in Judgment. That's not to say, you still have a majority of the player population that's using the Gnasher over the rifles. But, when you run up on guys, that are obviously Gears veterans that know the strengths of the rifles in this game and know how they work and how you can make them excel. You begin to see that the game has drastically changed in the case of Judgment. And you'll see with the one primary weapon loadout, because of the weakening of Gnasher, whether that's because of the wider spread of the shots, the reduced range, that's up for debate on how people feel about that. But it's really made the rifles rise into that prominent role of being a really true primary weapon, not just a support weapon. But they're now a primary weapon because of damage output, and there's like a rock, paper, scissors kind of component. Gears 3, if you ran up on someone that was just primarily using their Lancer or Hammer Burst or even a Retro, you could switch over to your rifle, assuming you haven't swapped it out, and you could shoot at them. You could trade those shots back and forth. Judgment, that ain't there. And when you run up on guys that really know what they're doing, I'm not talking about a noob here, I'm talking about guys that obviously have a clue of how to use those rifles effectively and use them well. I've seen guys with Retros that can wipe the floor in Judgment, just clean a house. Lancers too. And it's obviously not their first rodeo in a Gears game. But you can't trade. It's not as easy as pulling out your pistol and trading shots with them, because they're going to have the damage output, the magazine capacity advantage, they're going to have the fire rate advantage. It's going to be pretty hard to beat them. And you have to get close and use your Gnasher to kill them, because you ain't going to be able to pick up a rifle. That's easier said than done when they're shooting at you. And you're not going to be picking up a rifle just to deal with one guy in a match. The dynamics have changed. You now have to look at, can I the guy I'm facing off against, or the group of people I'm facing off against, how do I keep them in that scenario that always favors me? How do I keep them in that situation in close quarters where the Gnasher excels, and not get myself in a spot where their rifles are going to just, tear me to pieces? That's basically what's happened in Judgment. And I know friends that just straight up prefer Judgment, and I'm not going to say they're wrong or they're fools or anything. I wouldn't dare say that. It's just I feel I feel with the way they've changed the game, Epic has, where you now have you can play a certain role. You know, you're not as flexible as you were in Gears 3, and there is more of a focus on other factors rather than straight up skill or gunplay in general. I mean, Gears 3, you know, most of the time you got killed, it was with a rifle, a shotgun, or a power weapon. In Judgment, I feel it's much different. Anytime I've played, especially in free-for-all, I've noticed it in other game modes such as TDM and Domination. Most of the time I've gotten killed has been because of melees. I mean, who hasn't had an issue with the melee in Judgment? But the melees and lethal grenades, more than anything else, has killed me. I don't even feel like I've gotten killed by power weapons a whole lot. It's just those two have been more frustrating than anything else. And it's just the game is more focused on other factors rather than what has usually traditionally had a Gears experience or value to it. Now it is. I'm not going to sit here and say it's like Call of Duty or Halo, but I feel like Epic tried to change the game up to try and attract a different fan base. You know, get some peel off from Halo and Call of Duty. And I've played Halo 4, oh god, I think I played it a few months back with some friends. I played Black Ops 2 recently, and I'm not going to sit here and say those games are bad or, you know, they're easy. I played them enough with friends to understand that there is some skill involved. Different skill set than Gears 3, obviously, but I could tell there was skill involved. And it's just traditionally in the 3 previous Gears games, there was a lot more involved. You didn't have that instant gratification of, you know, using a rifle and getting a kill with it as you would in, say, Call of Duty or in Halo. Gears 3 is a different ball game. Because of the close quarters nature, you're going to want to use a Nasher. The rifle isn't going to do the damage that it does in a Call of Duty game. And I think that's what turned some people away, you know, from the other 3 previous Gears games. And Gears has always kind of been a niche shooter, a niche third-person shooter. It's always had a certain population. Whereas Call of Duty is, I wouldn't, like I said, it's not me saying that it's easy or anything. I flat out admit, I feel like Call of Duty and Halo, those games do require skill. It's just a different kind of skill set. And Gears of War has always had a certain skill set and learning curve that most people just don't want to dedicate themselves to trying to learn. And you see that in Judgment, they're trying to change that, where it's not so much focused on the Nasher or on the Nasher. It is more focused on the other weapons. The Nasher is not. It's still a dominating gun. I mean, look. I mean, you go into any free-for-all, you go into any domination match, TDM, whatever. The Nasher is still king amongst how many people use it. It's just not king in what it's capable of, like it was in the 3 previous Gears games, especially in Gears 3 where I'm coming from. And you see more of a focus on other factors like the grenades and melees. And I mean, that's what turned me away from it. And of course, you know, power weapons have always been a factor in Gears, but those other 2, I think, have taken away from, you know, what has always made a Gears games, and I think is what frustrates a lot of Gears veterans. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I've played a free-for-all match, and, you know, you get into a shotgun battle, and I'm talking about not just one guy, you know, one-on-one. I'm talking about 2, 3, 4 guys, you know, just a straight-up goddamn mosh pit with the Nasher, you know, one of those kind of, you know, fun moments. And, you know, and I'm not hating on people that do this, but, you know, the natural reaction is to throw frags. And it, you know, it's just a natural reaction. You know, in Gears 3, I had frags, and I seen that, frag away. You know, frag out. Get ready to get blown up. But because everybody has them, it's changed it. And you know, as I've said, I feel like I've been killed more times by frags and melees than anything else. And it's just something I think Gears players are not as much used to, at least hardcore Gears fans, because of the 3 previous games. Other things that has hurt it, and this is really what I feel has killed Gears of War Judgment amongst even new people that are coming over that haven't really committed themselves to wanting to play the game as much, and they may be going back to Halo, Call of Duty, or whatever it is, and maybe they've gone back, even the hardcore Gears fans. But lack of content has really killed it. We only have 5 maps after the free DLC, which gave us Haven. You have 4 maps in Overrun. Constantly you hear on the Epic Game forums, you know, them saying, well, we have 8 or 9 maps. They're being deceiving when they're being very deceptive when they say that, because it isn't in total. In total, Overrun and regular multiplayer. In some ways, Overrun has hurt regular multiplayer because we don't have as much content. You don't have as much to work with. You don't have that diverse character roster you had in Gears 3. Just going by that. And you just see more people getting sick and tired of the same old map over and over, because you can go within 30 minutes. I've seen a lot of people get bored and they'll quit. They don't play long. In Gears 3, you just didn't see that because you had so many maps to work with without DLC even. And in some ways, Overrun has hurt it, but like I said, you just don't have as much content, and that is what I feel has killed Gears of War. Not so much the changes. Amongst hardcore Gears fans, it's hurt it, obviously, but among everybody else, that's what's really hurt it, has been the lack of content. Alright, this is gameplay commentary is coming to an end. My buddy Paul killed a bunch of them, and you'll notice everybody just quits out on the other team thanks to him. Anyways, I'll catch you guys later. Quick channel update. Like I said, I'm gonna do more Gears 3 stuff. I'll still do some Judgment here and there, but it's mostly gonna be Gears 3. I can't give an ETA on randoms. I'm supposed to be doing dual randoms with my buddy Jetlags, but that'll probably be on the way. I'll catch you guys later. Peace out.
Like as I was throwing it, you know, so it was like lagging sound. It made it sound like 4 or 5 people rolled and smoke swinging it.